this is Trinesha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about being unashamed. So, I know you're probably thinking, what makes you want to do a video called Unashamed? So, I guess I have to start off this video being super real and transparent. I, time to from time to time, I've been struggling with not being hard on myself. And I know you've heard me say that in previous videos, and some people are thinking, well, just let it go, just move on, just do whatever it is that you got to do to just keep pushing through life. And, everything will work out for God's benefit, for the benefit of the kingdom, as long as you seek Him first. And I know all of these things, and I know that I could never be God, so I'm never going to be perfect. I also, there's moments in my life when I get in my head and I start to think about things in the past that I've done. And I know it's nothing but the adversary trying to play spiritual warfare with me. Every time I grow my relationship with God and I just feel like it's unbreakable. Every time I get to a point where I'm going hard for God. I mean, I'm praying every day. I'm doing all of the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm reading my books. I'm in my courses. I am working on my body like diligently. I am seeking God first and last. I'm making sure that I'm continuously feeding my body with the scripture so that spiritually I am full. Like I'm doing, or I'm filled. And so every time I get to a point where I'm like, this is all of the things that I'm doing, I'm staying focused on God. These are the things that I want to do in my life. This is how I'm going to go about it. Then there will be someone or something that happens in my life that distracts me or tries to deter me from God. Either that or it'll be somebody just pops up out of nowhere or something every single time. And it is always the moment when you feel the most content, like there's an antenna that goes off in someone's heart or mind, like, oh, let me go ahead and just throw this spiritual attack at this person. Let me go ahead and just pop up. I just have this feeling that she's moving on, or I have this feeling that, something's going on in her life and it's going too well. So let me go ahead and just throw this at her. And I don't believe that always that's the adversary. Sometimes I believe it's God's way of testing us to see if we're really about that spiritual life, if we really are about Him. And He's trying to see if we're strong enough to withstand all of the things that life will throw at us. And the best place to be, what a pastor said, I heard it from some pastor, I can't remember which one, but he said that the best place to be with God is in a place that He trusts you to handle a battle on your own. And I don't know about you, but I'm like, oh God, can I just tag you in like WWE? I'm just trying to tag outside the ropes. Like I'm trying to get you to just, like you got it from here. I'm just like trying to do one of those. And God's like, no, you got this. And I'm like, I don't got this. That's why I'm saying, like you're gonna tag it right now. And God's like, no, you've been training for this. You haven't been putting on your armor every day for nothing. You haven't been reading your scripture every day for nothing. You haven't been listening to sermons every day for nothing. You haven't been building patience for nothing. You have been training for a moment like this so that you can handle it on your own. And every time you handle a battle on your own and you don't need me in certain areas, I can step into the area that you actually will need me going forward. So all of the things in the past that you felt like, oh, I can't deal with my patience. I could never be more patient. I could never do this. I could never do that. And God is saying, yes, you can. This is why you had to go through all those things in the past. This is why I allowed you to be able to make it through with my grace and mercy. This is why I allowed you to become stronger on the other side of things. Because I knew that if anything else like this happened to you again in the future, that you could handle it. And it's so funny because this is just what's on my spirit right now. So obviously this is God. And before, I was actually thinking this earlier today. I was actually thinking, God, why did I have to go through this again? Because, give me a moment. Because I don't know if I can handle another heartbreak. I don't know if I can handle things not working out the way that I wanted them to again, or something like that. And God is saying, what He was saying to me earlier is, yes, you can. And I'm like, no, I don't think I can handle this, you know. And God's saying, yes, after everything you've been through, you're stronger than you think you are. You're stronger than you appear to be. You have withstood so much, and it's only making you stronger. It's so funny because sometimes I always say we are our biggest critics. We're the ones who are the hardest on ourselves. And it's so true because a lot of the things that I went through in my life, I never thought I could have made it through it. But it's not that I made it through it, it's that God saw me through it. You know, like if I had to go through it alone, I wouldn't have made it. And it's just so the someone once said that the moment that you feel the weakest and you call on God is your strongest moment in life. And it wasn't exactly like that. They said a whole bunch of other things, but this is what my interpretation of that saying is. So I guess I could say I said, but but yeah, I really feel like you are stronger when you're stronger faithfully or religiously when you know that you need to call on God and you call on him. When you try to handle things on your own that aren't built for you to handle, like you insert yourself in relationship A when you're not supposed to be there, and you're dealing with all of this spiritual, mental, and physical, psychological warfare that God never intended you to go through, and you feel yourself weaken, you feel yourself stressed out, and God's saying, I never intended for you to be there in the first place. It's really, really hard to fight a battle that you weren't supposed to be in the first place, because God's equipped you with everything you need to fight the battles that are coming your way, not for you to insert yourself into a battle that you're not even supposed to be a part of. So whenever you're going through something in life and you call on God, that is the strongest thing that you could do as a person, because you're telling God that even when I'm weak, even when I feel like I got it, even when I feel like there's nobody that I can call on, I can always call on God and He will be right there every step of the way, making sure that He sees me through it. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, because I'm going to go through things in life. We are all going to go through things in life. We're not exempt from going through anything. There is that one quote in the Bible, and I know I'm going to say it wrong, but it's something like, even if you're good or bad, I know I'm paraphrasing, even if you're good and bad or whatever else, even if it's not given to the swift, but to those who endure. But I'm paraphrasing because there's two different scriptures that people like to mix together to say that one. But the main meaning of that scripture is that regardless of who you are, you're going to go through something. And although you're going through things, always remember that God is God, that there's nothing that is too small or too big for God, for you to call on Him, to seek Him, and He will see you through whatever it is that you're going through. There were things like frivolous things in my life that I was like, okay, I don't want to worry God with this because it's so small. Like it's such a minute thing. Like, why would I want to bother God with this? But God knew me before I was formed. He knows every hair on my head. He cares about me more than the sparrows. Why wouldn't He want to make sure that I was okay? Why wouldn't He care about the small thing that matters to me? He would obviously care because He cares about every single one of us. He loves every single one of us just as we are. He wants the best for us just like any father would. So I just, whenever I get into a moment, I start to think about how I just can't believe that I fell for this again, or I can't believe I didn't put my foot down here, or I didn't stick to my standards here, or I didn't set my boundaries right here. Then I will start to speak life into myself. I'll start to quote scriptures, and I could feel myself strengthen. I could feel my body feel stronger, my mind, my emotions feel like they're strengthening. I don't feel like I'm as weak as if I need to lay down and take it or cry. I feel like I could stand up flat-footed in faith, and God can carry me through. Even if I can't walk on my own, God will see me and carry me through whatever it is that I'm going through. And it's just I really, every time I'm in the beginning of a fast, the adversary comes in, or God. I always say or God because sometimes we always say, oh, it's the adversary, but sometimes it's really God testing to see where our faith is, to see what our relationship with Him really looks like, to see if we will really call on Him when we need Him, to see if we can really handle things on our own. And whenever I start fasting, the spiritual warfare or the test that I endure in the first, like, it's always day 3. I don't know what it is about day 3. Why'd I start getting the clapping? Like, I'm really but seriously, every single time on day 3, it's like they, like, spiritually, like, in my head, this is how it's going. Spiritually, they're like, oh, you gonna talk about mamas? and then God's over here like, we got this. And then the adversary's like, you ain't about that life. And emotionally, like, I could feel myself warring, like, oh my gosh, like, the things that I feel like don't matter to me, or that I can handle, or that I've gotten over, come back. And I don't know if it's just a test to see where I am spiritually, to see how I will handle it in the future, instead of the way that I handle things in the past. And it's so funny because whenever I do the right thing, I feel myself strengthen. Ooh, because you know how tempting it is to just be like, oh no, I'm about to cut everybody off. Like, I'll be so ready to just be like, like, they want to act like this. I'm just going to, like, the old version of me from like 20 years ago was like, be petty. And then the new version of me is like, girl, you got Jesus on your side. You got to do the right thing. Like, good things come to those who trust in God. Like, you cannot be about that type of life. That's the past version. Like, we don't do that. We not doing that, you know? We are not doing that in the future. And so, like, I'm kind of like I want to be like the old me is like, girl, you know, if you say this, you will feel better in the moment. That's how I know it's the adversary, because anything that's temporary that's not going to fulfill my life is obviously the adversary. That's how you can catch them real quick. When you feel rushed, or you feel like it's going to make you feel good just for a second, but not forever, like, it's not going to help you in the future at all. It's just a momentary relief. It's a momentary fulfillment. It's a temporary fulfillment that you get to feel, or temporary satisfaction. That's how you know it's the adversary. When you know it's something that is going to prosper you, you know it's something that's going to withstand to the end. When you know that it is something that is going to make you feel at peace in your heart and your soul, even though it's hard to do, that's when you know it's God. So whenever I get into a situation like that where it's like, you know it's gonna feel good right now. Like you saying this, it's gonna be like, girlfriend. And then on the other side, it's like, but you doing this, it's gonna make you exactly the way that God intended for you to be. Nice, calm, and just super mellow, just stress free, relaxed, just easy going. You don't have no kind of you're not harping on anything. You're not holding on to any resentment, any anger, anything that could have hurt you in the past. Like, you are releasing all of those things to allow every good thing that God has for you to enter into your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, and your life. And so, like, that's how I feel when I choose whatever it is that God would intend for me to do. And it might not be easy. Ooh, it's not easy sometimes, because people really be trying it. Like, they really do want to see if you're about that life, like, if you're really about that God life. And they will do like little things here and there that will just be like, I'd be like, Jesus, Jesus, like, I need you right now. And meanwhile, the person's like, oh, they're never going to do anything. Meanwhile, you're like, Jesus just saved you. Just kidding. No, but seriously, like, whenever I choose to do whatever it is that God would intend for my life, it always makes me feel better. It makes me feel so much more calm and so much more like this is what I should be doing. And here's like a quick little example. I don't know if I told this story before, but one day there was this person who was so rude, and they just really, ooh, they just really tried it. Like they were trying to say like the meanest things they possibly could to me. I knew this person for a long time, and they hit like so below the belt. The thing that they said was something that you wouldn't even say to your worst enemy, and it's still like cut super deep. Like it was bad. And they said that because the other things that they said didn't get like any reaction. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like I wasn't like, oh, okay. But I was just like, and I could feel myself like get angry. And I could just feel like, uh oh. Like, cause I always hold things in and then it's like, but at this point, I was just like, no, like I had started seeking God. I had rededicated my life to God, and I just knew I couldn't go out like that. Like God had brought me through way too much, and I mean, without any scrape, without any blemish on me, God had brought me through, looking as if I had never been through that in the first place. Like that is a blessing in itself. So I knew that no matter what this person was saying, God had brought me way too far for me to turn back and be that person. God had brought me way too far to give this person the satisfaction of the doubt to say, see, this is how God is, or this is who God is. Like, no, I don't want to be the person that makes somebody turn away from God because of a nastiness or a negativity or some kind of like rude or cruel like behavior. So I wanted to make sure that I behaved Christ-like. I wanted to make sure I behaved like a woman of God and not like someone who was trying to be spiteful or envious or keeping records of wrongs, because the past is the past. I can't do anything to change it. If I could, I'd be sitting on racks on packs of dough, or something. I don't know, but like I just knew I had to do the right thing. Like in my heart, I felt like I needed to do the right thing. I could hear God so clearly just say, just let it go. Just let it go. And it's so funny because people that were around me that I knew that were like really close to me were like, oh my gosh, if this person did this, I would be doing this. And I'm like, I'm with Jesus. Like, I'm gonna let God handle it. And they were like, oh, okay. But they were really ready. They were really about that life. Like, oh no, this person did not. And I was like, yes, they did. But they were like more upset than I was. I was like, I was hurt by the comment, but I wasn't, and I was a little just like, I really felt calm, weirdly. Like, like I felt like the emotion go through me, and I could feel like when they said it, I could feel like, I don't know how to describe it, but because my intention was to seek God, it felt like it was a protective layer over my soul or my heart. Like I felt like it was meant to hurt me, but it just made me feel calm, and like I was like having a moment with God and just like, okay, God, like I know, the easy thing to do would be to do this, or I could say this or go below the belt, but I really just want to do the right thing. Like, what is it that you would have for me to do? And God just said, just let it go. And I didn't say anything. I was firm. I just said, you know, don't talk to me like that. And because I was so calm, I don't know if the person was like, oh, or what, but I just said that, and I just walked away. Like, what else am I going to say? They have nothing that I want. It's nothing that they could possibly give me that I don't already have, that I'm already getting from God. So, what would me saying something that for no reason do to that person? Nothing. I'm not trying to seek to go hurt somebody else. Like, that's not ever my intention. So it was really no point in me saying anything. It wasn't going to benefit me at all in the long run. It wasn't going to benefit even in the moment. It would have just started to escalate the situation and for no reason. So when I did that and I let it go, this person, oh my gosh, for the next 3 weeks, this person went through HE double hockey sticks on earth. They literally, they went through so much pain. I had to pray for that person. I had to pray like, God, please have mercy on this person. Like, I mean, I wouldn't wish what they were going through on my worst enemy. And when God says he will make your enemies your footstool, he really does mean it. He will, your enemies end up so bad off that you literally feel sorry for them. You literally feel so bad for all of the things that they have to go through. And yes, what that person said was hurtful, but I'm like, goodness, like, whew. I'm like, I don't want to be on God's bad side. Cause, whew. But yeah. And from like their next 2 or 3 months was horrible. Like they almost didn't make it. My next 2 or 3 months, my life changed so amazingly. Like I was so blessed, and it's like no matter what I did, as long as I was obedient to God, just a whole bunch of blessings just kept flooding my life, like exceedingly and abundantly above all else. Like the joy that I felt in my soul, like there was no hate, no anger, no nothing living there. The only thing that was there was happiness and joy. No matter what was happening in my life, I could just look at all the things I was grateful for, and it just felt like I had not a care in the world. It really did. It felt like this is what peace feels like. And it was because I did what God wanted me to do, not what I wanted to do for momentary satisfaction. Sometimes we forget how powerful God is. Sometimes we forget that, yeah, it might seem nice to say this thing to this person or do this thing to this person. And even now, sometimes I run into people or whatever who are not nice. And you know what I do? Most of the time, I say nothing. If I absolutely feel like I have to say something just to put it on record, I will say something only specifically for that purpose. But other than that, I don't say anything. I'm about that action. So if someone says something and they're like, all of these things, I'm about it. Like, I don't respond. I don't do anything but just walk the walk. That's it. So if they're saying this is what's going to happen, I'm going to say, yeah, like in my mind, this is absolutely what's about to happen. And I walk right on to make sure that I do all of the things necessary to make that happen. I don't just say, I'm going to go do all of these things. I don't have to say anything. The only thing I have to do is trust in God and just be about that life. That's it. Anything else is just extra. It's no, like, it really doesn't do my life any good for me to do anything, like to say anything extra. So I had this Bible verse pulled up and I done went on a whole, like, it was a whole story and everything. I was not intending any of that. I never like plan these videos. What I usually do is I'll listen to a sermon during the day and I'm like, okay, this really spoke to my soul. And that'll be the title of whatever the video is. It's not like I'm trying to follow a trend or anything like that. I really just listen to God, and whatever like fills my soul is a thing that I share, or whatever I learn is the thing that I share. I don't usually just share something random from someone else. It's really just intentional things that I've been trying to learn. Like if I'm trying to learn more patience, I'll watch a sermon on patience and there might be a message in there about something else, or I'm reading this book that I haven't read in a couple days, but Has it been a couple days? Yeah. My schedule's been crazy. Like, I wish I could share it, but I don't want to seem like I'm complaining at all. So, because I'm not complaining about the life that I have, I love my life. And I also think that this might just be me, but unless God says stay somewhere or do something for a specific reason, if you feel like emotionally you're drained, if you feel like physically you're drained, and you feel like it's taking a toll on your mind, body, and soul, then you probably have to leave that thing. Whatever it is, that person, place, or thing, you probably have to go because your sanity and your peace is what's the most important. And I'm not saying this about people in relationships, I mean, in marriages at all. So do not leave because you hear me say this in a video. What you should be doing is really seeking God to see what His guidance is for you in your life, regardless if you're married or single or in a relationship or job, whatever it is that's going on in your life. You need to ask God for guidance and make sure that He is the one who's telling you to do these things, because the thing that you don't want to do is leave a person, place, or thing because you feel like you don't want to be there. You never know if God's trying to teach you patience or teach you assertiveness or teach you how to build more strength in an area that you're weak, in a place that you're uncomfortable in. Just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean that you have to leave. Sometimes that means that's getting you to grow. It's getting you to be able to become something better. But you can't do that in a comfortable place. You can't do that in a comfort zone. You have to do that outside of that. That's why when I do things that are uncomfortable, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I'm like, well, I feel uncomfortable, but is this what God is directing me not to do? Because if God is saying don't do this anymore, then okay, absolutely leave. But I'm not just going to leave because I don't feel like doing something. I want to make sure that God is 100% behind whatever decision it is that I'm making. And it's so funny because God told me to stay in a place that I was, and I didn't stay because I was like, okay, well, maybe God meant this. And then He said go, and I thought He meant go to a different place. But God really just was saying go and build this, or go and spread the gospel, or, you know. So I really should have been more clear or seek discernment to see what it is that God wanted me to truly do. And now I know that I want to do whatever it is that God's telling me to do. I don't want to do anything that's just something that I want. I want to live a life full of intention. I really do. I don't want to wake up and just feel like I let my life pass me by because I was doing all of these things that don't really matter. I want my life to be full of intentionality. I want every person who's a part of my life to be a part of my intentional life. I want them to be an intentional, like, and I want them to be a important part of my life, something that helps me, something that propels me forward, something that is there in an area of my life that helps strengthen me so we can all strengthen each other. I don't want a person there who's trying to tear down me or tear down something that I'm building. I want someone there who's supportive. I want someone there who's real, who's going to tell me, nah, girl, like, this isn't right. Like, mm-mm. Unless God's telling me, then, you know, what everyone else is saying doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but they're not God. So God overrules the whole thing. So I just, I really, truly just want my life to be full of purpose and me to be in my destiny. I want to be doing all of the things that God intends for me to do in my life. Nothing more, nothing less. I want to touch, inspire, and speak life into the world. I want to change things for the better. I want to be the person that people can call that feel like they're alone in situations and other people are like, oh, she's crazy for staying there, or dumb, or whatever else. You're not dumb. You're a person with feelings and emotions. You're going to learn on your own time whether this is the right decision for you or the right person, place, or thing for you or not. It is not my job to judge you and make you feel badly because it's taking you longer than it takes someone else. You have to take as long as you need to heal, to be the person that you are intended on being. You can't you can't just be something because someone else wants you to be that. You can't rush the process. You have to go through the journey to get to where God wants you to be. And I want to be the type of person who makes an observation and help other people and doesn't just prejudge them. I want people to know that it's okay that you haven't made it to the point where you're ready to move on yet. Like maybe you need to move on, and maybe I will be the person that speaks life into you, that tells you that you are beautiful, that tells you that you can do anything. So you don't feel like you have to stay in this toxic relationship. I'll be the person who builds a plan so you can create something that will help you feel better every day. You'll do something that you love every day. You'll do something that brings your life meaning every day. You'll do something that brings you joy every day. Every day you will take 30 minutes to an hour for yourself to just appreciate your mind, your body, and your soul, whether it's meditating and praying or whatever else it is. And you will clear your mind so that you and God can have a stronger relationship. You will speak life into yourself for 15 minutes. You will talk about how beautiful you are and smart and intelligent. You'll talk about how many things you can accomplish in your life. You'll talk about how you can accomplish anything because God's on your side. You will talk about how strong and smart and intelligent you are. You'll talk about how you're a woman of God. You're a child of God. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I want to be the type of person who people can create that plan to change their entire life. I want to be the type of woman who makes it so that women don't have to be against each other. We can work together to build an empire to take over the world. Like, we don't have to be against one another or feel like we're in competition. We could literally do anything if we could stop fighting each other. If we could stop all of the division, do you know how powerful we could be? Do you know how much we can accomplish if we weren't settling for things that are beneath what God has for us? Do you know what men could do? Oof, the way that these men are set up, I'm telling you, I'm probably the only person who thinks like this. And like guys that meet me think like, oh, whoa, she thinks too much of me. No, I think enough of you to think that you deserve better. I'm not saying that you have to be perfect. I'm saying that I see that you could be anything that you put your mind to. The strength that you have could lead an entire family. It could lead the world. If you have a strong woman, and I'm not saying strong like she's alpha or anything like that. I'm saying if you have a strong woman who's passionate, who's smart, who's intelligent, and you are the type of man who is a hard worker, who has a vision, do you know what you two can accomplish in this world? Do you know what you can accomplish in the world? Do you know what you could do if you didn't doubt yourself, if you didn't allow the adversary to influence you with all of these distractions that he puts right in front of you, because he knows that if he can stop you, then the world ceases to exist. If he could stop you from being the man that God intended you to be, then their healthy relationships don't exist without a healthy household. They just don't. The adversary stopping you is the smartest thing that he could ever do, because he knows if he stops you, then women will start to crumble emotionally. He knows that families will start to crumble emotionally. He knows that the family structure will start to tumble, and it will not be as structured and strong as it possibly could be in a two-parent household. He knows that if he can get to one of us, then neither one of us is going to be as successful as God would intend for us to be. Whenever I meet somebody and they tell me what their visions or their dreams are, I could see it. And I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds so weird. Even saying it out loud, I'm like, people are going to say, okay, I'm logging off this video. But whenever I talk to somebody and they tell me what their dreams and their visions are, I could literally picture what their vision would look like. Like, I had this one person tell me they want to create this thing for kids, and it was going to be like something that was so cool. And I can literally see like camps being created for kids having a voice to be able to speak up for themselves so that they can strengthen themselves from childhood so that when they grow into an adult, they believe in themselves. They know that it's possible from that stage all the way up. If you could allow them to have a childlike mind in their adulthood when it comes to their vision, oh my gosh, do you know what we could do? Like, do you know what you could do if you really were? It's just, man, I see that. I could see, the not only the camp but classes. I could see different things, like maybe it'll be like a setup, kind of like a counseling session, but a life coach for children. I could see it being like a mentorship program. I could see all of these things. And even when you do that and you go and you throw different things like art or other things like that into it, then you could start a program where it becomes a summer camp. You could do things where that person becomes a leader, kind of like a camp counselor. And I mean, and so on and so forth. Like in my head, I can see all of those things being able to happen. And the person is just like, oh, like, I don't know. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, you could totally do this. Like, the only thing stopping you is you. You're the only thing standing in your way. Like, if you believed in yourself, you're already halfway there. The only thing you have to do then is just get a business plan. You just have to put feet to pavement. You just have to be about that life. You just have to really be passionate about it. You have to know that even if one person says no, you have to find somebody else who's going to believe in you. You have to find investors. You have to find whatever it is, or a group of people who are willing to sacrifice their time for the greater good, for the children. Like, I could just see these things happening. And even when there's like, I have this friend who wants to do a podcast, and I'm like, girl, you could totally do this. Her voice, the way that she speaks to people, the way that she speaks life into people, she's smart. She's compassionate. She's passionate about everything that she believes in. And people need that. And I'm like, how can I see it? I'm sorry. I really do care about people. But I'm just like, how can I see it and they don't believe in themselves? How can I see that they are literally the only thing standing in their way? God has got them. If this is something God truly put on your heart to do, there's nothing that is going to be able to stop it. I know. Every single video, I'm always crying. I'm just like, ah. But when I see people and they tell me about their dreams and they tell me about their visions or they tell me about the things that they want to do in life, and I'm like, what is stopping you? I don't understand what the holdup is, because there's somebody that's waiting on you to be able to do the things that they want to do in life. I was listening to a sermon by Sarah Jakes Roberts one day, and she said something like, God put the book on your heart. I know, I wrote the book. Learn from my missteps. Trinesha Cottrell on everywhere books are sold. I know, shameless plug. And she's like, write the book, start the program, whatever it is that you're doing. She's like, there's a little girl or a little boy or somebody that is waiting on you. And the reason why they're waiting for their blessing, for God to send them their blessing, is because you haven't started yet. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that every single one of us has a purpose. And there's something that we're supposed to be doing in life so that we can advance the kingdom of God. And relationships, I know I'm not in a healthy relationship, I know, and everything, but I really truly feel like healthy relationships are the foundation of this entire world. If a person is in a healthy relationship, they don't buy a lot of things that they don't need because they are healthy. They have everything that they need in a relationship. If they're buying something, it's for fun. It's not because they feel like they need to do it to impress somebody else. They're doing it for themselves. I truly believe that a healthy relationship will help build security in the household. It'll help build a good foundation. It'll help build more structured children so that they will feel like they they can see an example of what that looks like. And so when they go out into the world, we don't see broken home after broken home after broken home after broken home, and constantly, continuously, repeatedly, like this cycle just continues on and on and on. Like those are the things that I think really set the foundation for a better world, for a better life in general. And I'm not saying people that are unhealthy should just, you know, that's why I said a healthy relationship that God is at the center of. I really feel like with that, because if Christ is for you, who can be against you? That was one of the scriptures. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and pull it up. But that was one of the things that I was saying. If God is for you, who can be against you? And earlier today, while I was really like hard on myself, like day 3, like I told you, it's always a struggle. and and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that I made that stupid of a decision in the past. And I know I said this, and I should not be talking to myself like this. So when you are about to say stupid, dumb, or anything that sounds negative, go ahead and renege on that. Like, we need you to start speaking positivity over yourself. Like, no, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm intelligent, I got all of these things going for me. Like, I can dress, my hair is like cooperating today. Like, like we're gonna make a list of the win list, and we just gonna keep on just adding up this score, because every time you say something negative, it's stopping you from your purpose. It's stopping you. It's a dishonor to God. It truly is, because He's already blessed you with waking up. So anytime you pull something negative out of there, you're saying you're not grateful for the things that God's given you. And I don't want to be the person that says that. And so earlier today, while I was in my moment, I read this part of the scripture from Hebrews 13. I think it's verse 5. And it says, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. So we say with confidence, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? When I read that, it made me feel like that's so true. I'm beating up on myself because I'm worried about how I was perceived, how I presented myself to someone else. Maybe I don't care what they say, but their opinion doesn't matter. What matters is what God thinks about me. They are just immortal. They're just another human being out here in this world, just like me, making mistakes just like I am. We're never going to be perfect. We're never going to do all of the right things. We're always going to mess up on something. But if we seek God first, He will guide us to do the things that He needs for us to do in our life, so that we can be the person that He created us to be. We don't have to be afraid, and we don't have to try to compare, compete, or seek approval from anyone but God. We just need to continuously just walk by faith and not by sight. We need to continuously know that He is God, that there's nothing that we can't do with Him. And I also wrote down this other thing. Hold on, I dropped my phone. That's why you see me doing all of this. I had these shoes on with this outfit, but you can't see it in the camera. So I was kind of going back and forth, like, should I put my shoes in the video? I don't want to be that person. But then I forgot the shoes were up there. So that's why they're there. Not because I was just trying to show the shoes, but that's why. And so, so it says, oh, okay, that was it. What can mere mortals do for me? He will never leave me nor forsake me. That's what it was. Okay. I'm sorry. I took a picture of my Bible study book because I keep it in the car, because I never know if I'm going to be in the office or where, and I'm not trying to let anything keep me away from God. So I'm really about that life. So I have a little mini Bible in the console in the car, and then I got my Bible study book like right on the side of the seat, because I need to make sure that regardless of what's happening in my life or what schedule I have, God is always going to be number one priority. Even if I have to stop on the side of the road to do Bible study, that's what I'm about to do. Like, I'm not saying on the side of the road, but like I might take an exit and then just park at like a gas station or something and do Bible study. I don't know, in a well lit place. I'm not just gonna pull over anywhere, but you know what I'm saying. And so, so that's what I would be doing. And in conclusion, even when you feel bad, Even when you don't know why things are happening in your life, or you just feel like so down on yourself, like, oh, I should have made this decision better. I should have done this way. Remember that God is your helper, and you don't have to be afraid, because what can a mere mortal do to you? God has all the power. That's why we always call on Jesus. That's why we always call on him to say, in Jesus' name. Or when we say I am, and we're calling on the power of God, and we're saying, I am beautiful, I am smart, I am. He is the great I am. So whenever you're feeling like you need to be down on yourself, or you are beating yourself up for a decision that you made in the past, this is where the adversary really, really tries to play on me, because it's something that you can't change. And I have to constantly remind myself, I can't change the past. I can only go forward. I cannot go back and make this thing not happen the way that it did. There's nothing that I could do to change this situation. The only thing I can do is just continuously seek God. And if the opportunity comes back around, it'll be because it was what God intended. I don't ever want it to be because of something that I hoped into existence. I want it to be only what God wants for my life. And I hope that's what you want as well, because if you get anything that's not of God, it will be disastrous. It will be a nightmare. It will be the thing that you didn't ask for. It'll be like the one person says, instead of it being a dream, it'll be a nightmare. Like, it really will be like that. Like, you're hoping, your hope is like, oh, it's gonna be like this, and then in reality, it's like dum dum dum. So, if you really truly want true happiness and joy, you're gonna have to start speaking some life into yourself and seeking God. That's the only way. Because if you try to do it your way, I'm telling you from experience, if you do it your way, it's not going, it's not going to be right. Like, it's going to be real bad. And you're going to be like, I don't know, I thought I could handle all these things. And remember, you don't have to handle it on your own. God is with you everywhere you go. He's always with you. He is with you always. Whenever you need him, call on him and he'll be there. Build your relationship with him. It doesn't just have to be a bunch of you talking all the time, but if you need to talk, he's there to listen. Sometimes just tell him how grateful and thankful you are. In the morning, this morning, I just try to do a grateful, thankful list. Sometimes I'll do like I know people are going to laugh at me, but sometimes I would do like a grateful, thankful list, and then I'll be like, and God, please, can you, like, I'll start asking for stuff. Like, I told him I was grateful and thankful. I did a devotional, and then I start asking for stuff, and I'm like, today I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm just going to, do some affirmations, in Jesus' name. Like, I am. And then, and then that's it. I'm not going to say, God, can you make sure that today I keep my mind focused on you? Like, it's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to make sure that I was intentional, and today was just about God. Like, this morning was just about God, not about me praying and asking for something, because, God is always blessing me. So everything I have is already a blessing. I just want to make sure I show gratitude to God to let him know how grateful I really am. And so I hope that this video helped you in some way. And when you do get into like a situation where it's really easy to do the wrong thing, just fight to do the right thing. Do whatever you got to do. Talk to God, take a moment to yourself, walk away, and just really do the right thing and seek God. I'm not saying lay down and take whatever it is that somebody's giving you. I'm saying that you have to have standards for yourself, and you also have to know that, like, think, what would God do? What would Jesus do? Because if Jesus would be out here popping and rolling his neck, I'm not, okay, I need to stop using those type of colloquialisms or whatever else. I really just need to be like talking for real. Okay. But no, like, Jesus would have you just have your standards. He flipped over tables and stuff. I'm not saying flip some tables. I'm just saying that you just need to be straight up and direct and have a good tone and make sure that you're really about that life. You don't have to say a whole bunch. You just need to be real, and you need to follow God, and God will take you the rest of the way.